Man, you straight from the south side. Mike, man. I'm just so happy to be here right now. Real Rap Podcast.
I try to be authentic.
Okay.
I take pride into being myself. I, at the end of the day, it just comes so natural. And
Sure.
then ideas and stuff, even just not just from my own sake, because I don't believe that you should always just do things just for the benefit of yourself. I feel like when you do that, then you won't make it that far. But when you put some type of genuineness out, you will get it back. And people could do the same thing. It's just that I think, okay, so what I really, really feel is a lot of people who really try to make it that hard, and it's because they saw other people make it that hard. And I think what the difference, though, is they genuinely are being themselves. The other person is just watching another person and feeling like, well, you did it, so let me just try to redo the same thing you did. They don't understand what they need to do for themselves to be authentic.
Wow.
So
You know what that takes me to, the way you said it? Bread and butter for a lot of comics is doing impressions, right? And it's like somebody like Godfrey or somebody will go, like Shane Gillis will figure out how to do a Donald Trump impression that's really good.
Right.
But somebody, somebody else hasn't been in the game that long.
Right.
They're not going to sit down and take the time to come up with a Donald Trump impression.
Right,
They're going to do an impression of Godfrey's impression.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to see, because Godfrey's doing it all over exaggerated. So it's like, I'll just copy you. You put in hours.
Right.
Walking around the house and trying to change your voice and watch tape and all this. But it's like, I see what you're doing.
Right.
And I'll just copy you.
Right.
Copying somebody else. And now it's less and less and less and less and less. What were you like in high school?
High school, I feel like, so I didn't realize I was popular until afterwards. So it wasn't until like I said, I was always connected. Because so me, I first of all, due to my parents, we moved so many times. So many times.
Just happened to move?
It just so happened to move. And so, but when we moved, it was like, but we stayed around the surrounding area. So it was like, okay, you went to this school, that school. And I began to know this person from this school and that school.
Yes.
So, of course, when high school came, it was like that particular area, because it was a general area that was closed. And then, of course, with the schools, you could be on a separate opposite side of the street and then somebody goes to a different school, which I never understood that in the first place. I'm like, why? But I end up just knowing everybody.
Okay,
so I'm like, I went to school with you and you. But yeah, I realized that people paid attention to me much more than I really knew, because I used to feel like nobody paid attention to me. So I was like, I'm just still being myself. I always was a people person. I always was an outgoing person. And then I also found out that even my friends' parents was like, they was like, we really like him as a friend for you and different things like. And I didn't even know that until I got older. I was like, your mom spoke highly of me like that. Like what? I'm like, so it wasn't like, I didn't because it wasn't the ideal to me. When I think of the popular person in school, I'm thinking of, okay, you sitting on the table, everybody rushing to your table to come by you.
Right.
When it just you can have the same thing, but in a different way.
Right.
And so that's how it really was for me. And I was like, oh, well, so where it's to the point that, different ones I went to school with, they're doing great things now. And then sometimes some of the other ones, I'm like, I run into them, they like, we went to school together and I've always watched you and XYZ. I'm like, you still pay attention to me?
It throws me off, and I'm definitely at a smaller scale than you. But when there's certain people, anybody really, that's, hey, I just saw this and that and the third that you did. Really?
Right. Yeah.
You did. Woo.
Right.
I was like, you were watching it, and sometimes you'll see somebody and you're like, wow, that person, and it goes back into your mind of like my OGs, my folks used to tell me, you never know who's watching.
Exactly.
And it's true.
Exactly.
Interesting that you said, because I was a military kid. I also moved around quite a bit, and you develop a skill for engaging with people and kind of I don't know. Is it being on the surface? Because you develop a real. I'm when it comes to an interview, like if it's a job interview, I eat those alive.
Right.
They're like
right.
Tic Tacs.
Right.
For me to do a commercial about myself. Forget about it. I'll do them all day. And once I get in there,
Right. It's a wrap. He killed it.
oh, I'm calling in. But that initial, it can take away. Did that make it hard for you to like develop roots and have like long-term friends or anything?
What, being in?
Like moving around so much?
No. Because we all still kind of figured out a way to stay in touch. And that was my thing. That was another thing that I learned, how to still continue to stay in touch even when you're not in the same area or so. You know, I would still make phone calls just because I thought about a friend.
That is a key skill.
And and I didn't realize, I was like, how important it was until, of course, I got older. And I was like, I've been doing this. So when people would be like, how do you get to certain places? I'm like, well, I genuinely care about people. It'd be times where I'm like, hey, you know, I just called to check on you. I thought about you. Nothing more to it. It's just because I haven't seen you. We don't go to the same school anymore. We're you know, and at that time we was much younger. You don't have a license to get around and anything like that. You based off your parents, and they were not going to take you everywhere you want to go. But it was just based off of just keeping that connection going. Even when I had a friend of mine, she went off to the I believe it was the military. And I think that they won't allow you to be on your phone. You can't have your phone at a point, a peak of time. Certain points. And she was gone for months. Now, this girl had left when we were in middle school in the town that we were living in. And the very last year of middle school, actually, no, I'll take that back. It was the beginning of high school. It was leaving from middle school, going into freshman year of high school. And then her family moved to Georgia. And I was like, oh, you know, like that was my very close friend. And she was like, I'm going. We're still going to stay in touch. And then she told me she was going to the military. And I'm like, it's a wrap. I'm not going to hear from you anymore. Right. Well, little did I know that I was getting letters because they still, you know, have you write letters. And I'm like, I thought that was just so different that I'm like, you still chose to write me when you're out there doing what you're doing.
It's very purposeful, a letter.
Right, exactly. So we were still writing letters back and forth, and we're just great friends, just checking in on each other and different things, because that was the best form of communication. It wasn't no texting, wasn't no calling. It was like you took the time to write a letter, stamp it, send it out, and have, you know. So it was like the communication of it still was there. It never left, despite of the distance and the different things like that. So that was a skill that I learned very early.
That's me. I'm jealous because I don't naturally have. I was the only child for 14 years, and I kind of got used to my own company.
Really?
That skill, though, that communication skill. I read there's a guy by the name of Malcolm Gladwell. He wrote The Outliers. I don't know if you're familiar. He was the one that coined like to become an expert or something. You have to do it for 10,000 hours and whatever. He had a wave. He had one book called The Outliers. My apologies, that's a little loose. He had a book called The Outliers. Ended up coming to find. Do you remember the story about Paul Revere it was like American history? He was the one that wrote when the British were coming to take back America after the Tea Party and all this other good stuff. He was the one that rode up and down on a horse with a lantern, talk about the British are coming, woke up all the colonies. In this book, I remember this lesson from the book. In this book, there was Paul Revere, which you learn about in school, but there was a whole nother dude that night that took off in the other direction, doing the exact same thing. And even though it's been a minute since I've been in school, I remember Paul Revere's name, right?
Yeah.
The reason being, Paul was the communicator in his town, in his little neighborhood. He was the one that was calling people, hey, how you doing? How you been? Haven't seen you. They didn't have phones back then, you know. He's doing whatever. But he's just riding by on his, and he's like, hey, he's captain of the football team or whatever. He sells hot dogs on the weekends and all this. He's like a community guy. The other dude was just the same dude, basically the same guy. He was just, hey, I come out, I do my thing. I trained how to ride the horse and tell people whatever, but I mind my own business, eat my peanut butter jelly sandwiches, go to sleep.
Right.
History doesn't remember him. They remember Paul because he was a communicator. Now that's just amazing that you naturally developed that gift, because that obviously it's taking you where it's taking you. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back. Another episode of the Real Rap Podcast. You're not here for the first time, so I do not remember what episode we are on. It's got to be low 80s. But I have incredibly special guest today, Dr. Julian Wright. This man is entrepreneur, businessman, transportation business, I believe, actor, political activist, has his own talk show, IMDb list out the wazoo, but tremendous person. Have a lot to get into with this guest. If you wouldn't mind, Dr. Wright, saying hi to the folks.
Yes, hello, and I'm grateful to be here with you. First of all,
this is tremendous that you would take some time out of your busy day to be here. And I did want to, because I think where we initially met is I met you were on a gig with Atlanta Housewives. I believe it was Drew Sidor.
Yes.
And then my production company were coming there to film it. How did you?
Yes.
So, and that's essentially, what I'm doing here. I have the honor of interviewing you right now, but you're already in the mix interviewing stars and social people on a high level. How did you get into that?
Well, it goes back into I was around it growing up. My dad's mom, my grandmother, she was heavily known in Chicagoland area. She was the WGN anchor, the late Mary D.
Wow.
And so she was when I say politically involved, she just hosted so many things. The Chicago Parade, a lot of times, and so we grew up around seeing. Well, I didn't really appreciate it then because I was just a kid having fun. But
of course not. Yeah, no.
We were around people like Steve Harvey and stuff like that, and I didn't think nothing of it. I'm just thinking like, this is someone I saw on TV that I just happened to see you in person. But outside of that, now that was not in my plans to do any of this. This was not in my plans. I knew it was for me, but it was a path to get here. So it definitely was something that came natural. And, like we talked about, every part of my life just brought this moment together. It brought it together to every key thing. And I'm like, the important things. And then, like I said, just the authentic things that I would say, it'll come to my mind. So I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So.
Sure. And so you're growing up around star, and I get it. As far as, hey, I'm just a kid. This is part of my life. I don't question it. It's not different than what I already know.
Right.
But looking back, you've had time to live life. You've met 9 to 5 people. You've met stars, other entrepreneurs. You're in politics. Are you seeing anything that's the same about like high level people in all these different walks of life, or does it take different skills to be successful in different areas depending on what it is?
Well, the most common thing that I've learned with both of them, and that's just life period, is that they all go through different things. What I learned is everyday people doubt what people on that side go through, and then people from this side feel like people from that side don't understand what they may go through. So it's like a common ground to it that I've come to learn, that I'm like, I've interviewed different people and then been able to personally talk to them and develop friendships with them to learn personal things about them, to where I'm like, these people have no clue. I'm like, they have no clue. You just sat up on this couch and smiled and laughed and talked, and meanwhile, this is what you're going through. I mean, you have people who are just ready to end it all because their job is letting them go, and meanwhile, you're literally, the pressures of them, at least they're not in the public eye. So they don't have that type of pressure. They have pressures of making sure just keep going and just rebuilding their different things like that. But now you have, because you're a public eye, the opinion of others is now in. So it's something for that. So I've learned that, and then also I learned people are just, for me, just still people. So it's like you can be up today and down tomorrow, and it doesn't matter what level you are at. So it's I've learned that from both ends pretty much. So.
Do you have like an interview or a person that stood out in particular? Maybe you had like a preconceived notion about who they were, and then you get to talking to them and you're like, oh.
So my most one that I was nervous about, which we became very good and acquainted, and then we passed through each other through political involvement too. But just from growing and stuff, was Judge Greg Mathis.
That's powerful.
I was very nervous, very nervous about that one because he's a funny person, but he's not a person that. He's the one that can intimidate other people. Now, I've never been intimidated by anyone. But at the end of the day, I was just like, oh, like, I don't know what to say. Like, is this okay? And stuff like that. But,
Because, wait, Judge Joe Brown was the one that had, like, had an interesting past, right? And Judge Mathis was a little bit more straight-laced.
Right. Yeah. He's the one who was in court calling people crackheads and just saying anything out his mouth. And did not care about it and just whatever, and will dismiss you with no return because people thought they misunderstand him, that they feel like he's rude. Now, I will say this: he's a person to where he's just straight to business.
Sure.
So it's like when you come to a person like that, you have to know how to approach them and get to them, versus it being at that time, honestly, when I had the show, was doing the show, that was at the beginning of it, and I had a whole nother team, and they wanted to do another concept with it, and I just shut all that down. I'm like, no, I need to do this by myself in the right way, focus and pull in, because I've saw this person in person before. I've been very close to them. We never got a chance to talk, really. So our really first longest conversation was that interview, and then we got more acquainted and stuff like that, and then, like I said, we worked together on Reverend Jesse Jackson's son, Jonathan Jackson's campaign. He supported his campaign. I was a part of being behind that as well when he won congressman. And so, but once again, he was kind of in and out. It was very, a picture and a handshake, and then we spoke.
Got it, right.
And then got acquainted and talked and different things. Someone introduced me to him, and, we all sat at the table and was eating. But outside of that, it was it. But it wasn't until that interview, and I'm like, I have no clue of how this man's gonna be with me. So I'm like, I don't really know how to deal with if the person is gonna be rude with me and all that type of stuff.
To the left,
yeah.
right.
So, but I've learned that honestly, that made me feel like, you know what, it's okay, because show the genuine moment. It's genuine. So at the end of the day, if it goes like that, these cameras are still rolling.
Yeah.
So,
and unfortunately, if it goes left, that might be the one that gets the clicks.
That get the
whatever.
clicks. So it's kind of like, for me, it's like, but I was actually looking forward to connecting. And I saw a side of him that I don't think the world really knew of. So it was like, or maybe particular ones knew, but I personally didn't know, and everybody else didn't really know. So it was like,
it wasn't that big, like, bombastic.
Yeah, like you're sitting
top.
with the great Judge Greg Mathis.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was mostly you're sitting with Judge Mathis, but I felt like I was talking to Greg.
Do a lot of, so for the celebrities that you're in tune with, or just those high caliber people in the industry, do a lot of them have an on off like that?
A lot of them don't know how to be off.
Right.
And what I've come to learn. So it's kind of like, I laugh at it in my private time, because some of them I look back and I'm like, this is just full of cheese and butter.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just, but when it come down to it, and I try to be very respectful in my interviews, because I've had interviews that some people were happy about, and then some people were not so much happy about them. Not so much of them, their team, or whatever the case is. I've had it happen too, but I'm like, we have to get down to the story of different things, but I try my best to approach it in the nicest way to let you be willing to share what you want to share. Now, I may have my personal daring questions, that's me, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to take it too far to try to disrespect you or embarrass anyone.
Right.
So if you want to go into your past and all the different things like that, then by all means, yes. But be realistic about it. You're in the public eye.
There's a way to ask a question around something, and the person, even like in the back of their mind, knows, all right, you're giving me a door, but you're making it very easy for me to like choose to walk through it or not.
Right, exactly.
And then there's a way to just
right, exactly.
Yo, this thing that everybody's talking about behind your back, talk about it now on my show in front of my cameras.
Exactly. So it's like I did not want that. Like I had a guest on the show, and they used to have a bad drug problem, and so they were a very known person. So I was like, okay, I want to address that, but at the same time, I don't want to go into that because number one, that was my first time meeting them in person. Number one, number two, I did not. When it was an audience show too. So it wasn't just like a
a
one-on-one. So you
even more pressure on the moment.
Yeah. So it's like you gotta be watchful of how your viewers are gonna see it and the people who are actually inside.
And in the room.
In the room, because even if we cut it out, they gonna remember in the room.
It'll be across town. Somebody had their cell phone.
Somebody's gonna do it. Somebody's gonna do it.
Right.
And so I'm like, but they talked about it. And when they talked about it, now I didn't necessarily go on to be like, okay, do you still do it now? Do you still struggle with it now? It's like sometimes it's like everything that it's not meant to be said.
Sure, no, of course, and no, that's dope that you brought that up with those, because you have. So these days, the model of being messy gets you far too. But it's not even these days, right? Yeah. Because when I was growing up, they had the magazines by the thing with the.
It was a messy stuff.
Dolly Parton was just over at Burt Reynolds' house till 3 a.m, and now it's just the gram and now Twitter
is worse because it's influenced more.
You know what makes it worse now is. I would never pick up those magazines ever, but I'll click on my phone for the dirt. Yep. I would never read the dirt magazines.
They said we didn't get you with the magazines, but we will get you with social media.
And you have somebody like a Charleston White, where that's his messy is his motto, and it's straight line to success for him. Because from my understanding, Charleston White in particular. He started off activist. He started off like working for prison reform and all this other. He would talk to like his local like alderman or this, that, and the third, trying to do some things for the kid. And he was going online back then, and nothing was happening. Then he gets online and he's like, oh yeah, you in what gang and what city? All of y'all, your mama's dumb, your kids cross-eyed and woo, and now all of a sudden I'm in the money. It's like, for those people, because the industry's dark. Any industry is dark, depending on how many corners you look in. For those people that make it, being messy, what is that about us as a consumer?
I think that, now I will say there are certain people who can do certain things that they can get by with it. I don't quite understand why or how. Well, I ain't gonna say I don't understand why, but once again, some people just have that certain touch that they can do that. But
it can't exist without us clicking on it, right?
Right. It can't exist without us doing it. But in reality, I do feel like some things is going to have to be talked about. And then some things will not have to be talked about. But when it comes down to taking it too far is what I have a problem with. To where it's like, you didn't have to do that. You know, you didn't have to put that out there. You didn't have to start this. You didn't have to, now, you just don't know, because like I said, the common thing is people are still people. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you work your 9 to 5 to where you can, stay great. You have to be good at your job and do what you do. Great customer service. This is their customer service. They have to keep it, but at the same time, it's much harder because it's your life now. Your life is your money. So when your life is your money, you're going to make mistakes in your life. You're going to have downfalls in your life. You're going to have people turn on you. You're going to be hurt. You're going to be emotional. So now it's no longer like I could take a sick day off and call in and tell the boss, I got surgery. I get paid time off. There's no paid time off over there. Yeah. If you don't come to work, you won't get paid.
You don't eat.
So divorces is going on behind closed doors. You got people being abused. You have people have struggles and problems and stuff like that, which that's their business, honestly. But I just think that people don't appreciate the people for who they are and their talent and their gifts and what they offer versus expecting them to be this perfect person just because they're in a light.
Just because they're in
And
a light,
I
right.
think the expectations is what people have a problem with. It's like I've told somebody else, I'm like, you laughing at them the whole time, you about to be evicted. So it's like, make it make sense here.
Right.
Because flip flop this and let that be a picture of you in a magazine, you will have a fit. People get mad because worst drama is family drama.
Worse.
You get mad if your aunties called you out on something at the dinner table, and at the end of the day, it's just you and your family sitting up there.
Yeah.
So you will blow up on that. So imagine you seeing your business in the magazine, you seeing your stuff
crazy.
on a social media network.
And we're probably in the same boat as to where I've seen people cross over, go from, hey, we're all just kicking it, hanging out,
Right.
doing what we do on the comedy scene, and then they hit that next plateau. It's like a roller coaster. It's very slow at first, and then it's very fast. And when those people cross over, and they start being everywhere, and the money and the notoriety and everything's pouring in, I'm watching. I'm happy for them.
Right.
I have my appropriate jealousy that I can I can make useful. You know what I mean? I'm not jealous like downfall, but I'm jealous all right, I need somebody I
need
know.
it, right.
All right, then I need to step up. But at the same time, when I see them cross over, I was like, oh, I know that person.
Yeah.
And you just gave them the green light on everything they want at all times.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Right. Yes.
Yes. When you, because you also heavily in business, right? It's a transportation business, limo service. Where does that come in? Because you, for this kind of hustle in show business, being on the front of the camera, that takes a tremendous amount of thinking, networking. A lot of good things have to fall in place. But then to be on the forefront of business ownership and stuff like that, how did you get into being a business owner and running a successful transportation business?
Well, before I even went more further into the entertainment industry, started off with the business part. That's how I developed a lot of my relationships first. I first started my company doing a little bit before COVID, but mainly COVID-19 is when I launched JW Enterprise. And so, and that was the most interesting way in my life, honestly. That was when I really came up in the world. But before that, I just felt like I was just in a box. Like, nobody saw me for real. They saw me, but it wasn't like that. I get all the congratulations in the world after COVID-19.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It was like, it was up from there. And it was amazing. And I'm like, and of course, and that was at a hard time to where people were shutting down and all that type of stuff. So when I came out, first of all, I always had a passion for limos and party buses and all that good stuff and SUVs. I just had a love for it. So I didn't realize it until like when I was younger. I was like, okay, every occasion I just felt like, it's your birthday, let's get a limo. It's a funeral, let's get a limo, so it's like every occasion. And most people was like, of course now a lot of times they feel like, oh, that's kind of played out. You don't see as many limos. You see limos, but I'm like, you see like more people in SUVs and party buses.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I have all of them. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I used to take notes into certain things because I was like, what's going to make this authentic? What's going to make this different? And it wasn't even coming from a business mind. It was just me as a young person just thinking like, man, most people get amazed because it's a long vehicle. It got music busting up in there going. It stands out. Yeah, it stands out. So it catches people's attention. When you used to watch movies, in Hollywood, the first thing you would see pulling up in this stretch limousine on the screen at the red carpet events and stuff like that. So it's like, it put me to the mindset of grandness. But I'm like, what's going to make it different? And so I was like, man, if they had a TV in here, and this would be amazing. I'm like, if they had this where you could advertise, you put your face out there for your birthday outside of the limo, that'd just be it. And I was just coming up with all types of stuff like that. Little did I know I was taking notes for my own company. So when COVID happened, I was like, I'm gonna get I'm gonna start my limousine transportation company. And I went and did it, got the paperwork done, got the LLC done, got the bank and all that stuff set up. And of course, it was more difficult because you had to make appointments and stuff like that. Most people didn't want to get in person, but I was really pushing it. And then honestly, that was during the time to where a lot of companies were shutting down.
Sure, yeah.
So that was the time to where you was get things for, I would say, more reasonable price things at that time because it was rare. And so they just felt like it wasn't going to be necessary. A lot of people didn't even think they was going to make it through out of that. I felt like this is going to be over. I don't know how I just felt like that, but I was like, I have the faith to believe that this is not going to last always.
Right.
So I refuse to walk around here with a tank on my head with a bubble and things like that. So it's like at the end of the day, I'm not ignorant to what's going on, but at the end of the day, it's like I still just know there's going to be something better. And sure enough, it was. And bought the fleet. One guy, he was retiring, and he was like, I'm done. I've been doing this for years. And I said, well, I'll get the whole fleet. Worked out a great deal with him, took that on. And one of the ideas that I came up with was I got my very first limo, and I said, well, I'm going to put a TV inside. And I said, this is the perfect time because most people don't want to go anywhere, but they can. And so I had a package deal to where couples would have romantic nights inside the limo. People can have movie nights alongside loved ones if they want to get birthdays and stuff.
Okay.
And they would have dinner. We would have dinner set up. We would decorate it for their birthday. They can get driven around. They have champagne, wine. We still take them downtown because downtown was still a nice view at night.
Sure.
So you get driven around for downtown.
No traffic.
No traffic even. You just driven around, got your pictures and stuff. You still want to dress up to still do something at least for your occasion. So that just took off. And then I was able to purchase more vehicles expand and all that type of thing. And then when the world opened back up, I had a big celebration for it. Then I started getting, people started doing big concerts. And I had got an inbox from a guy. He was a big event organizer at the time. And he was like, I'm bringing this person in. He's bringing in gospel people and R&B people together. And he was having them one of the biggest outside ones there was. It was in Naperville at the time. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so I said, well, I want to, I have this stuff. Just let me know. I'll work out a deal with you in XYZ. And it took off from there. We serviced Jennifer Hudson, Keke Wyatt. He had Keke Wyatt there. And then I got acquainted with Chicago legend George Daniels and stuff. Wow. And so it took off from there. And then that relationship took me from working with Fantasia and all that type of things. So it was like I became, and then, one of the consistent client came to Chicago with Selena Johnson. And so she would, she did the song with
Right.
All Falls Down with Kanye, where she did the hook to it. And then she has definitely a lot of more songs. But she became a consistent person with my company. I was like, I did not intend on my company to be I didn't think it was going to be like mainstream like that. I just want to, but we still service everyday people. And so I knew what it felt like to be able to want to have something nice for your birthday when others would call in and they didn't have the certain price range, and I would work with them. So, and I also just found out you never know who. It was like people was like, oh, this person is my cousin, this actor and stuff. I was like, really? They was like, I'm gonna tell them about your company. They did. So it was like it grew. And so that's why I said that's where the relationships really started. And then I took that love grew more back into the media part. So
got you.
Yeah, every piece of that played a part into it.
Wow. And then get into some more things, but I want to know, so just even so far into what you're talking about, whether that's your interviews with celebrities, running your show, running your company. So, I know just what I do in my day, having a team is so important for me in particular because it goes in so many different directions, so many different skill sets that, I just don't have the time to try and learn how to be good at doing this thing. So if I have somebody on the team that's good at it, that's just something I don't have to focus on. How do you do so many things?
I do have a team. I did not always start out with a team. You know, when you developing a team, I've learned some good things and some bad things because you got the different type of people when you're developing a team. And then also the most thing that people go through is the finances of getting a team.
Yeah.
Is the most difficult thing of it. But I was able to learn ways through opportunities, working, and also I was willing to make certain sacrifices to have a
Okay.
team because I felt like it was needed. It started off as a part-time thing and then became a full-time thing for some. And then also I had some that just wanted to volunteer. And so that was the most honorable thing for me. But
So is that because? Do you think that was because you were already in motion, and that's
yeah.
attractive?
I feel like most people, the thing is, people want to be a part of something that they feel like is going to be great, which I had to learn. Which one of my mistakes is that I brought some people in at the very beginning because so my show I was able to hand pick out people who I wanted on my team. Some people was originally because I worked with the network, but my show is an independent show. So I brought in people to, I'm like, okay, I want you to work in. Some people were getting paid, some people were volunteers.
Okay, right.
But you still had to be under a certain, abide by a certain rule. And then also I just think common sense plays a part into some things. But I just came to learn with this part, it's a very tricky thing to where you have people who only want to be with you for the sake of themselves and where they can get involved into for themselves.
Of course.
And so I don't believe in the crab and the barrel mentality to where it's like I got to pull you down to go up. I believe that we all can go up, but I do believe it's a certain way to do things. And so when I first started out, I had at least about 8, 9, 10 people that was brought in. Some people, like I said, was paid. Some people was volunteers, and then it had more. And so everybody else was handpicked. But then my executive producer, she was already Donna Kavanaugh. She was actually when Oprah Winfrey used to do her show in Chicago. She worked with her here. She was the one that got me on the network.
Okay.
And so she was in the original. Then I had 2 other people that I brought in, and they became producers on the show. Of course, I'm the head executive producer of my own show, but brought them in, and then I'm like, okay, we did one show. It was chaos after that one show, and a lot of people just did not know what I was going through, and I'm like, a lot of people felt like I'm volunteering at your stuff, so I should be able to, I'm not getting paid, so I should, instead of getting paid, then let me get connections. And so but that was a thumb rule that they came up for themselves. That was not something that we ever talked about, agreed on, because I'm like, it's still a certain way that you're going to go about doing it.
You have to conduct yourself.
Yeah, right. And then otherwise it's just riding off of somebody else's coattail.
Yeah.
So it's like, I end up having to get rid of everyone except for 3 people. 3 people are still with me from our original team. Everybody else had to go. I had to clean house.
Right.
And so, and I'm not a person that's difficult to work with. And then, of course, you have people that's going to attack you, who's going to lie and say certain things. But then I'm like, you just can't trust everyone. And so, but one thing I learned and from talking to other influential people about their team was you have to get people who have the same type of spirit and the mindset of you.
Exactly.
If they don't have that common thing, and just because you're expert in something doesn't mean you're meant to work with me. Just because you know something doesn't mean that it's going to work for me. It's just about, are you able to know what you know, but still recognize who you're following?
What do you think when you hear like Ellen DeGeneres is a goblin off camera, but from my point of view, she's a successful stand-up comic that transitioned into a talk show, that transitioned into movies, that transitioned into millions of dollars. Millions of dollars earned for herself, let alone billions earned for industry. The Finding Nemo, I think, might still be like the top grossing animated movie of all time.
Yes.
But you see that level of success super high and sustained for so long, and then the whispers are behind the scenes. She's a goon and a goblin. You can hear similar things, just throwing celebrity gossip news. You hear the similar things about The Rock or Nicki Minaj or this person, that person. Some of them are out in the open with those tech CEOs and all kind. When you hear that certain people choose to run their businesses that way, and then you still see success at least for a certain amount of time, And then I'm assuming that you're running it from what I know about you with like understanding and where's the line between having to be direct, having to say, hey, look, this is the vision, either get with it or nice talking to you,
Right.
and being like understanding and being like, all right, I can't run this like a Mussolini.
I think for me, the levels that I had to learn was, I'm a very direct person in the first place.
Sure.
So if I don't like something, it's just that I had to learn what not to put my energy into, because I used to try to make stuff work that just didn't supposed to work with some people. Like some people that I was doing that had on my team that I'm like, you were not supposed to be here in the first place. But because I was still trying to be like, oh, let's figure it out. Maybe we can still turn.
Right.
Like maybe this is, and I'm being uncomfortable, but yeah, I'm pushing through it. You're just feeling maybe okay about it because you getting somewhat of what you wanted, but at the end of the day, I'm still like, and then I'm a very person that I like to self-reflect. So I try my best not to. Well, I guess I try my best. I don't feel like I do it. I don't do people any type of way at all. So I value genuine relationships. Because I've done things for people that I'm like, I wasn't expecting any money in return for it. I don't mind putting other people on. I don't mind telling you, hey, if this gonna make you grow higher and it just boosts you up, then I love to see it. That is not gonna stop my grind or my flow, but I don't have to use you to get it,
Right.
So it's for me, I had to learn how to, of course, respect. I really knew how to respect people and understand people. But I had to mostly go into discernment, honestly, with a lot of people to see that, okay, this vision, if this is what the vision is, can you really follow behind it? And then if I see certain actions that you can't really follow behind it, then I would like to know, okay, why do you feel like this is not going to work? Okay, now you tell me that. Now I'm going to go to the drawing board to determine if this is something that's going to be beneficial to the vision and not. Now I can easily tell you, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for whatever you have done, or even just meeting you. But I just don't think that's going to work out. No disrespect to you. It's just that I considered it, and then it's just some things I don't even have to consider. It's immediately because I know already.
When you have to fire somebody or let them go, how do you go about that?
Me personally, I like to talk to the people. It just depends on the situation. Like I had a situation to where things was done too publicly. We were in a meeting one time, and then one person just basically that felt like going there with me. I'm like, what is all of this hostility for? What's your purpose?
Right.
So I'm like, and me, I don't take down for anyone. I don't. I definitely have it inside me. I do not play those type of games. I'm a very nice person, but it's like, don't do that. So, but I was very firm on that, and then I just ended up telling them right then and right there, you know what, thank you so much. We was on a Zoom call too. I said, thank you so much. You can just exit this Zoom call, and if you don't exit, then you will be disconnected off of here. But it's a wrap. So that was that situation, and then I had another time to where I was able to one-on-one talk to the person and dismiss it in the proper way, to where we still talk now. There's some people that used to work with me to where, I learned
Bridges
that,
burn.
it just didn't work out. And that's okay. I support them in their career. I support them in their moves. They just wasn't going to understand the vision. It was going to be complicated for them. And I don't want anybody to feel like I'm trying to mask up your talents or trying to block you. So if you feel that you just know what's best, please put that out in the world and do it for yourself. Right. So don't let me stop your show. So,
how do you know when you can only go so far with a person? And this is for many levels, but especially if you're a business minded or it's your business, being able to determine, okay, I can no longer go in this direction with you. It's not going to help either of us. That's a matter of like life or death for your business.
Right.
In personal matters and other things, there's a lot of stuff that can make that a more complex thing to navigate. But in business, when do you go, that was the last, all right, hey, yeah, I see it. This isn't going to work on a longer time scale.
I feel like with me, when I started losing feeling, and I'm a very caring person. and then also, if I take to you in a certain type of way, then I take to you like in a certain type of way. It's genuine, it's real. Even of course, everyone that you work with is not going to be your best friend. I don't expect that at all. They shouldn't be, but there is, But when it come down to it, that when I start losing feeling, and I know myself good enough to where I'd be like, I don't even care what you do, how you do it, when you go do it. I started making moves without you. I started doing certain things, like no longer considering you anymore as much as I am a considerate person. But I know from those actions for myself that I'm like, your time is up. Because I'm not saying you can't be redeemed in those feelings, but at the end of the day, most of the times, most people are going to be like, they're not going to like feeling like that. They're not going to enjoy that. So it's like, you've already been removed without even being removed. So we might as well just seal the deal and just
it's
knock
over.
out.
It's over before it's done.
Right.
In every relationship.
Exactly. So it's like, and now for me, I get that very difficult with that because my biggest problem is I used to get disappointed because I felt like finally I have great people that I could be inspired by, I could be connected with, and then boom, something happens, and I'll be like, what the heck happened? Like, I'm like, I was.
I just didn't know y'all problems yet.
Yeah, I'm like, what in the world? And so I'm like, I had a different expectation, and my heart was set on something, and so I used to go through that a lot. To where I was like, I really wanted you to be this to me. I wanted to be that to you, So I'm like, and it could have been great for all of us, but at the end of the day, I just had to learn that some people just not meant to go with you to another level. And if people don't really take the time to understand you or see you for you, then they will never be able to appreciate you. So, and that's not just, and that's in business, that's in relationships, that's in family, friends, or anything like that. If they don't take the time to understand, my boss said no. Why did my boss say no? They said no because that's not going to work for this vision. They will always understand their vision before everybody else does. They are the leader you are to follow. If you cannot really follow, and just because you have I have other producers on my show, they still know the end result is mine. There's no offense to them and their expertise, and they're great, awesome people. But they have brought certain ideas to me that I was like, that is awesome. We're going to actually do that instead. That's better. That's what I'm saying. So, but when it come down to it, when I come to the point that I'm like hearing your ideas, or maybe not even taking the time to hear your ideas, I could just be like, I just could, we'll talk later. Yeah. So it's like when I start getting not interested, it stirs me up. When a person puts me into that position, just me, how I handle it, I've always been the person known to like, it just stirs you up. Like you always get something else going. It's like, I can be hurt about something, and I'll talk to you about it, because I do feel like we all the adults, we should be able to have an adult conversation, but everybody is not like that.
But the end of a relationship, personal, business, family, whatever, that comes with its own momentum too. Yeah. Once you start down that path and it's downhill, it's hard to come to a stop, turn around, and start walking back up. Yeah, the hill you just came from. Exactly. So it's like to turn it back around. It takes so much. It takes the other person having to basically change who they are. Exactly, and most people are not, because they're over there on that side feeling some kind of way about you more than likely. Yeah. So it's like you can't. And I'm a person. I take pride in having patience with people. Sure, but at the end of the day, when patience run out, I do believe that it's a cause for a change before things get worse. Oh yeah. And so, like I said, I used to feel like I was a person that stayed in things much longer than what I should have because I was trying to be too patient and too understanding of you. Meanwhile, I'm suffocating the joy of what I really would like to do before you. And it's like nobody has ever worked that. Absolutely. How did all this transition into your political aspirations as well. Was this in the middle of all this happening? Did you make a conscious effort? Was this just through networking, happenstance? How did you get into the political arena?
Yeah, that happened around COVID as well. I've been doing little things prior to COVID. Little things politically, community organizing, even churches, helping them, even outside the church, just going into the community walls and just helping and feeding and doing all the different things like that. But I wanted to, it was during the actual George Floyd situation that had happened that really stirred me to where I'm like, somebody has to do something about this. To where I'm like, it's getting to the point that it's ridiculous. And then I'm like, then you have, my own people that fighting, they're destroying their communities and stuff like that. So it's like, this is another way that we could do this. And so my thing that I've always been taught is prayer. And then also giving back community and just spreading joy. I came up with an idea to have a community event, which was started out in Lockport, Illinois. And I started getting acquainted with the mayor. I was introduced to him when I came up with the idea with someone. And the Mayor Stephen Stritt, we got acquainted. I was invited to his office. And I didn't know where I wanted to do this event. And I didn't think it was going to go that large either. But it was like, it was in my heart. It was burning. I was invited to different marches, and I didn't want to be involved with that. So I don't have a problem with marching for different things. But at that particular time, I'm like, it started turning into other stuff. Somebody in the crowd was doing something crazy. So I was like, I don't want to be there. I want to peacefully do certain things and really show the difference right now. We need to show that we can be united. And I was able to get with the mayor of Lockport, Illinois. And so I ended up pulling together a community event. We had prayer, worship. We outside of the spirituality of it, we had regular music too. We had food that was given out to the community. We had like different things for the kids out there that was done. And when I say the streets was blocked off to it, people, we had the stage outside, the microphones, and so it was large. It was very large.
Oh, wow.
It was to the point that the whole street was covered with people. And to where I was amazing. Then we had radio stations was like, we want to come and touch the store, and they did a live broadcast while we was there showing the people there. And so it was just amazing. And I ended up doing it for about 3 or 4 years in that same place, and it grew. Then I had people from Florida flying in to come. I had people from getting Chicago, of course, involved because it was it's supposed to be a Chicagoland area event, and I wanted to do it in Chicago, but at the time they had so much going on here, and the powers that be was so wrapped up into that to where it was like somebody has to do something. So that mayor decided to take it on. I appreciate that. And then he was like, I want you to be a board member here. So I became a board member there. And then after that, it just grew. And like I said, I did that for about 4 years. And then I got involved with political campaigns, getting ideas for people running. Like I said, I had the opportunity to work with Jonathan Jackson. He became a congressman. Outside of that, I had the liberty of being working with the mayor of Arkansas. He ran and stuff, and people who ran for aldermen. So it's like I started being the person that people started pulling in, and then my influence started working in that because, crowds would come to my events. And then outside of that, you got a business, you got this. So it's like, it's so many things.
What's something that you learned about politics when you hopped in that arena? What's something you learned about politics that surprised you, or something that maybe the everyday person doesn't know?
I learned in politics that
Look, you thinking of a political answer?
No. I'm not gonna give you that.
Hold on, let me clean this up.
Let's see. I learned in politics that even the people that talk and do certain things doubt themselves at times. And so I didn't think, because I just felt like politics is just something that you have to not doubt yourself in. You have to know what you're saying, how you saying
Highest
it.
level of confidence when
like
you say what you
highest
say.
level of it, because people arguing your case and all the different things like that. That is just on a whole nother level. So I'm like, but I was surprised when I came to learn that, and then I also learned that people in those particular arenas will give to the community and do great things, but they always in common has some type of touch of they do nothing without something. So even them meeting me and trying to pull me in was for a reason. So it's
You have
like
social
I'm not
influence.
oblivious to
Right.
that, you know. And then a lot of times I'm a person to where I have to remind a lot of them what you should be doing is what you were not doing. Prior to me being involved into that particular mayor's thing, I wanted to go with other ones to where I was trying to work with them so bad. I was declined. And they was like, no, you know, or they just be like, give you a pat on the back and shake your hand and want to get a picture for their social media page to make them look good that they're running for this and you know, I look young, I'm young. You're a nice looking young man. You suited and booted, so you'll be a good person to stand behind me for
Got
props.
the quarters it before it was trending.
Yeah. So it's like, but I did learn that some people actually have a genuineness. Because I didn't believe, I was able to recognize and call out when people was giving me a political answer, and when some people was just being how can I say this word? How they was, I ain't gonna say faking it, but they was being
dancing
fake.
a little. Right.
It was very like, you know, I even have some political friends, and I had to tell them, and even our personal time, and they'll give me their honest opinion, and I'm like, I can see it in your eyes.
wolf
That is
tickets.
just, that's some crap right there.
Yeah. It's so
That is
because that's something I'm interested on your perspective on, right? If you are on a basketball team, you have to run and dribble. If you work at McDonald's, you're gonna come home smelling like a burger and fries.
Right.
If you're in politics, you got to get your hands dirty.
Yes.
In my mind, that's just what goes together. Like,
do.
have you met personalities where you're like, oh, that's just a clean cut. That's an actual true blue. I want the world better person, and then there's still, you know what I mean? Like, like high level athletes, we kind of all just assume there's really good, really good things that they can use these days to stay in. You know, they do testing, but we're like, they just got something that's better than the test.
Right.
When I look at politics, right, they are mental and social athletes. And if you're not taking something to enhance your performance or taking your little shortcuts here and there, like, are you going to have a life in politics? Are there people that are true to themselves, true people, or to be in politics, you have to play the dirty game?
Right. I have met people who do not play the dirty game. I have met people who have. So I've had a 50-50% of it to where I've been able to watch it behind closed doors or even in public to where I'm like, okay. You know, to where it's like I'll silently watch and pick up on certain things with them. And then I also have it to where it's like some people was actually, I have another friend of mine. He's another mayor in Plainfield, Illinois. And so, genuine person, very genuine person, actually cares about the community. And so it's like, you know, don't desire at all to try to hurt people or different things like that. And even though, you know, I'm African American and he's not, but it's like I still get phone calls to genuinely check in, not just because I feel like it's just me, but I watch that person on how they treat others. Because they may treat me with all the respect in the world because they feel like who you are. But how do you treat the other person that's come along that you don't know who they are? So that's what I look at. It's like, okay, you actually care. Right. You're not just doing this for a face. You're not doing this for that. But then in some cases, some other people, I'm like, you want nothing to do with the genuineness of people. You want just to
Seize power.
yeah, to see you want power, and it's just so funny to me when I tell people all the time. I didn't understand this concept, and my cousin had this funny saying as a kid, and I never understood it until I got older, and I laugh at it when I see the moments of it happening, to where she was like, as we was kids, she's like, every dog's gonna have his day, and I was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And so she was like, every dog is gonna have his day. To what I've learned from that is that every individual, what you do, especially when you're in politics, it will be coming to an end. You're not gonna always. They only give you so many terms to run for mayor.
Sure, yeah.
So the thing of it is, what you do while you're in there is what's gonna show how far you can go after that is done.
Okay.
And a lot of people miss that. To the point of it is they do all that stuff 4 or 5 years. They run another term, maybe get another term after that. And then after that, boom, they disappear. You don't even know I'm going to see them anymore. How many people still acknowledge you? When do the next generation even going to know who you are?
Sure, right.
So it's like at the end of the day, you have only but a short time. So at the end of the day, those years go by so fast. I don't care how long it seems. But at the end of the day, it's like, you do know what's going to make your President Obama. He's no longer president. He's done his terms and everything. But that's a name that will forever live on.
Oh, yeah.
That I feel like, because not just because he's an African-American male, but because how he carries himself, how he connects with people, how he moves, how what you're doing. He was recently here in Chicago not too long ago at the center that they're building over here in Chicago. And so it's just so many things that, you see that person, he's still trying to go back to the pizza place that he went to. He was in Chicago walking to the pizza place, checking everyday hand. You don't have to do that. You could have felt like, hey, I did my part just to get the pictures and the smiles. I don't even got to do that no more. I did my part. But it shows you will always be talked about with my kids, my grandchildren, my something. You will always be an inspirational, the couple, Michelle Obama. That's something that women would always look at. Men even look up to that person. So what's going to make you when that's over is something. And to where I've seen people play dirty, and I'm like, you may feel good, and I'm very big on putting other people down. I'm like, you may feel like because you have a certain power that you can do people any type of way. You can just ignore people.
Sure, you start to take things for granted, I would imagine.
Exactly. So I'm like, but like that saying comes in hand, you will have your day as well. And when your day comes, you're going to hate that nobody's going to come to your rescue. Sure. Nobody's going to be there.
One thing I've noticed when it comes to having notoriety and being noticed, remembered, whether it's sports, politics, show business, entertainment, right? You can get there through being famous for being good at what you do, popular, the thing for the time, you're a trend or whatever. You could become famous, but you can also be remembered for being infamous, right? And we as people gobble them both up.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, infamous might, because right now they got the Diddy documentary.
Right, exactly.
Right,
exactly.
and he's going down in history. He's going to be remembered for all time. And you could slice it up and be like, here's things he's offered to the culture that are like tremendous.
Exactly.
112, Escape, Biggie, Craig Mack, Bad Boy, Entrepreneurship, selling alcohol, beverages, starting fashion brands, curating reality TV back when there was no ready-made business model for it. You know what I mean? Pretty early in the game. And just being, and they'll show you little clips of him doing negotiation deals and losing his mind, throwing TVs across the thing. I always get what I want. And then coming to find out on the opposite side of that, maybe not the most stand-up dude on the planet, right? Yeah. But he's not even it's not even dozens, it's not even hundreds, it's thousands of people in his position have been that, right? How do you tell somebody, hey, do this, don't do that, this is the path to get, and then you see something like this come out. Now, sure, Diddy happens to be having his day of reckoning, quote unquote, and who knows what that even looks like,
Right?
Because when he gets out, what does the world look like? You have probably the best insight on this, right? Because you're in this show business, you're in social circles that are business, entertainment, political, the whole nine.
Right.
Diddy comes out, like, would you interview him? What happens to him after here if you were gambling?
So I feel like if he when he comes out of that,
Because it could be like 2 years or something like that, right? Or less.
Yeah, or less or so. And that's why people's like, oh my God. I do feel like people are still going to want to interview him. For sure. But do I feel like the main thing is, for me, will people still trust you after that? Well,
there's going to be a novelty. There's going to be a novelty period where I'm in. We want to interview you,
right?
Because you just got out of. And what's your point of view? And then,
exactly.
So after that first 3-month wave passes, what happens to him when it's like, all right, hey, you just got your fresh out of jail pop. The rest is on you. What do you think happens to him then?
I feel as though is that your support will go down.
Oh, yeah.
Your support will go down. You lose what you felt like, what made you you. You then fall into a depression. You go into a dark state when those different things happen. And then you can have all the money in the world still, but you lose your peace. So your peace of mind, at the end of the day, what's most important, that's going to keep you stable. And I feel as though after the smoke clears, too many allegations, whether the court, whether you get out or not, will still forever live on. People will no longer trust you with the next artist that's going to be great.
Wow.
People will no longer want to be in a private room with you without worrying or stressing. They will always...
Definitely ain't coming to your party.
Right. Definitely ain't coming to your parties for sure. If nothing else, not even coming near the zip code of your house.
I got a baby oil proof suit on.
It's like they're not coming nowhere near that place. They're not even coming near the zip code of that joint. I'm like, but at the end of the day, I'm like, you are gonna be the cause of a lot of people, which is sad because I feel like you were there, like you have it, but you mess it up for yourself. So it's like at the end of the day, I just say enjoy while you can, because it won't last. Within the next even year or two, my children or my even grandchildren, whenever they come in the world, and I have none, but they're gonna know who you are, but in a negative way. And they're gonna know not to ever trust you. They're gonna know not to ever listen to you. We thank you for what you brought into the world.
Right.
Great, amazing groups. But at the end of the day, their talent spoke for itself. You were the introduction.
Right.
So just because you're the introduction don't mean that, I could have met him and I could have just flourished just as I am and more. But that doesn't mean that I'm like that. At the end of the day, I just think that it's about people just really just knowing and paying attention, because now this and all that type of stuff, honestly. But with him, I just think that it's sad because you're gonna you're not gonna be happy.
When it comes to the 1% of the 1% in their field, your Michael Jordans, your Kevin Hart's, your Mike Tyson's, your whoever, right? Even your Steve Jobs and the dude from Facebook, Zuckerberg or whatever, right? Does to be in that top tippity top of your field, does it? Have you seen it where it doesn't come with that ultimate dark side, right? When it comes to the Facebook dude, he stole the IP, and from what I heard, he stole the IP,
Right.
And screwed some people over in the beginning in order to get it to the next level. Mike Tyson, he was throwing everything in his nose and da 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 da. And you go down the list of these people, businessmen, directors, actors, actresses, da 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 da. They have that ability to take some all the way up here. On the good side, and then a lot of the times you'll hear that they have this other thing that was riding shotgun with them that tears them down. Right? Do those have to happen together?
I don't believe that you have to go onto the dark side. I think that you make a choice, and ultimately, it's a trick, but to get a certain level of success. A lot of people like we talked about feel like you have to play dirty to win, and that's not necessarily the case. You can be around dirty stuff but not get dirty. I'm a firm believer of that. I could be around it all day long. I can go to a place that I just know for sure that people do crazy stuff at, but I personally don't have to be the one to get into it
for sure
to be my level of success. It shouldn't cost that, and I don't believe that. That's just, what are we saying to the next generation? Yeah. What are we saying?
So would you interview Diddy when he got out?
I would. I can honestly say I would. Absolutely. It was like, yeah, I definitely would like to have a lot of questions. I would never want to be alone with Diddy, but I would definitely want to. It would be about 5 at 20, 30, 40 security guards, and I don't know how many production people, everybody honestly that work with me and beyond from be coming in. Everybody come on in. Yeah, I'm like, even bring the police department, bring the detective. Take note of this whole thing, so it don't be saying that Dr. Julian Wright went to the bathroom and X, Y. Don't even start that lie. So it's like, but. Yeah, I do feel like I would interview him because I am curious to know what caused that. You hear so many things, and how you defend yourself in court is what you feel like you have to do versus what your genuine feelings is.
What you say is.
What you really should be saying. Because once that stuff cleared, then it's like, okay, let's really know what the truth. Why did you do certain things? Why did you feel the way in life? So I do feel like now, do I feel like I'm going to expect a person to just be honest? No. They're not going to always be like, oh, well, yeah, I did drug people. Yeah, I did all that stuff and X, Y, Z. They're not going to do that. But at the end of the day.
We're humans. We base everything on stories and narrative. And you tell your own story. It's not going to be, not going to make yourself the villain in your own story.
Exactly. So it's like, but I do feel like in this case, this is just too big. It's owed some type of explanation from him. I do feel like it is owed that. And because it's disappointing and it's too far. It's too far. And it's distracting, honestly, from new talents and the talents that's here that's trying to make it.
Ooh.
It's distracting to the point that they're pushing your stuff out the way, even if you had something good to offer and want to be on the rise, to keep this mess going. We're aware of it, we know it, great, let's move on. But they want to chew it until they can't chew it anymore, only because it was hot. The thing is on Netflix now. Then you got articles, you got this, you got consistent court appearances, people still reporting back this. So it's like at the end of the day, it's every day, every month, every week, it's taken from real talent to be shown.
Yeah. Because his name, he's getting a push. He's getting pub.
Exactly.
And if this stays up for the next 16 months, then he's going to come out and still be trending.
And still be, exactly. You're still going to be. So it's like, what do we do? Like, I just tell people only get a certain way if you be the person that keep pulling them in. Like I said, I would definitely interview him because I'm personally curious to know some things. And I do feel like I said, it's owed an explanation. But once we get that explanation, if we get that, then I just feel like, in the meantime, let that story be that story. I'm not saying don't talk about it because it is something that's difficult in the world. People always want something to talk about, sure. But at least be able to go support the new person that's coming out. Go and look at the other things that's coming up. Not spending all this time talking about this man with that. It's like, you keeping him relevant.
Now, why are we so messy? This kind of goes back to the beginning of our conversation.
Yeah.
Why are we so messy? Now I've seen, like, you interviewed, and I'm trying my best to be careful. So I saw you interviewed, like I said, one of the gals off for like Desperate Housewives, and I'm not calling her messy. I'm not calling the show messy.
Right.
It is like a show. It's stories.
Yeah.
We used to watch. My moms used to watch soap operas because it's drama, right? And there's a little messiness to it, right?
Yeah.
And then like some of those reality shows these days, they just take over the soap opera vibe. You know what I mean? Which is it's however it's structured. It's why are we attracted to that so much? Why is there's some young person out there that's inventing like like straws that don't kill turtles,
right?
And
right.
I'm never gonna click on it,
at all. It's a no.
But they're like, oh, a new video of Diddy in the elevator.
Yeah, like let me see this. Let me see how hard to hit him. Like replay it again. Play it in slow motion. It's like
he body slammed Vanilla Ice brother. I gotta see this. Hold on. Why are we drawn to that?
I think we're drawn to it because it's interesting to see people like that's on the rise, not on the rise, but that we call that made it do certain things, because you wouldn't think that they would do that to themselves. Because it's like, with reality is, like I tell people, you do have to be cautious that they are human, but at the same time, the people that is in the limelight, remember you are in the limelight. So you always going to have people watching. You always going to have something watching you. So you do have to live your life in a certain particular way.
Right.
You can't just move like everybody else move. It's a difference between the person on the community on the street. I mean, that may be the gospel of town, but it doesn't last that long, because they like, oh, it was an abusive situation happened between a boy and a girl, or a man and man, a woman and woman. I mean, at the end of the day, that's something to talk about, but we don't hold on to it. It's only because it's Diddy that we talking about it.
Right.
It's only because it's you that this is why we like, let me see that, to where it's like, I can't believe that you are looked at in such a high length, to the point of it is why it's unbelievable, to the point that I have to see it, because I don't believe it. Yeah. I can't believe that you would do this.
You got money, power, respect, but you doing the same thing my nephew doing.
And the whole time people like, I wish I had what you had. So I wouldn't go about it like that. So it's like, that's why I believe that we get very curious, and then other people just enjoy mess.
Just
and
enjoy the messiness of it.
You just have some people that just enjoy that, and then also you have other people to where it distracts them from their own life. So it's multiple things. I wouldn't say it's like pinpoint one thing. It just depends on the person for me, of why they may like it. I know me personally, I wanted to see it because I'm like, this can't be real. Y'all lying. Somebody's lying. Because you can't believe everything you hear until you actually see it.
That's what's probably one of the things that's scariest to me the most these days, is once it goes out there, though, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter after they go, oh, no, never mind. We got that completely wrong.
Right.
Hey, all those last videos this last week of publicity, check that out the window. It was all incorrect. Once it's out there, the stain, you can wash it, but you're never going to remove that stain. That's when somebody puts those out there. I don't know if this is even on your radar. There's some young gal, she was like a Uber Eats driver or something like that, and she ended up going to a client's house, and he was passed out on the couch, and I guess he had like his clothes off, and he had ordered food from the Uber Eats gal, and she pulls up, and she's like, he put in the notes, leave my food at the door, and then he just happened to get passed out, fell asleep, Winnie the Poohing on the couch. This gal walks up, comes to the door, like cracks his door open, videotapes him on the couch with his pants down, and then reports him to like Uber Eats or whatever. Reports him to the news. It's a big hubbub. This guy gets kicked off of like Uber Eats, this, that, and the third, and she's going crazy on her Twitter. She gets fired by Uber or whatever company was hiring her, and now she's facing criminal charges because she the whole time was like, this dude essayed me. He was, he was indecent. He was this, that, and the third. He was flashing himself. Whole time he was passed out in the privacy of his own spot, and said, "Hey, leave it at the door. Go about your business." Right. But what was blowing me about the whole situation is that she was really like, "Yo, I got fired. I'm going to court. I'm the victim." And it's like, oh my gosh. Like when you look in her eyes, it's like she truly believes.
She really believes. She didn't do anything wrong. That she's the victim in this situation.
And it's how do you combat that? You could talk all day till you're blue in the face, like, hey, this is the way it is. This is the way to look about it. Da, da, da. If she would have just paid attention to the app, leave the food on the door, go about your business,
right? It wouldn't have been like that.
Nothing.
But you didn't do that, and you chose to.
But in the beginning, before Kat was out of the bag, she was running numbers up. It was, click city. She was, oh, girl, you right, and this and that, because she had her narrative, and now it's the other way around, and it's just like, wow, these days, everybody's narrative plays a part, and it's really out of your control. But before we get about it, because I could talk to you for the next 4 hours, but have a list of questions. Gonna hit you with 3 of them. I'll give you a pass if anything's too close to home, but they're not. They shouldn't be too far out there.
Okay.
All right. So I have one of the questions for you is, what would you say? What is the pettiest thing you've ever done in a relationship?
Not the pettiest.
So you're not gonna tell us the top 2, but one of those ones.
The pettiest thing. I don't know. I don't feel like I did nothing petty. I don't. Yeah, I feel like okay. I
thought of a good one.
I was asked to not go to. It was a pajama party I was invited to.
Okay.
But it was strictly friends of mine that was there. And I'm a person, I don't go to parties like that. Now, I'll go out because I'm an outgoing person. But I don't necessarily be that person that I'm just like out there like that. That's just not me. But when I do, I go enjoy myself. But I was invited, it was during the holiday time. And so I'm like, I was considering going to the party that I was invited to, and it was at a friend of mine's home. But it was, we were all strictly friends and stuff like that, and so they knew about my relationship at the time, and so I'm like, hey, like it's nothing going on there, so it's not like they didn't know the people like I know them, but you've heard them acknowledge you in conversations and phone calls and different things like that, so it's like ain't nothing going on. Because I don't do that, but it was like, oh, I don't want you to go. What do you mean you don't want me to go? I'm like, okay, why don't you want me to go? Oh, because I just don't want you to go. You don't have a valid reason? So I was like, you know what? Okay. Well, I said, okay, we're going to just leave that alone. And then they was like, no, I said I didn't want you to go. So I said, oh, like, you're not going. Now you're not going is what got me. I said, now I'm going.
Yeah.
So I did end up going. And so that was that situation. I was so glad. I was glad that was done, honestly. I was glad.
Yeah.
But I would say that's the most pettiest thing that I feel like I did. I was considering
when somebody draws a line in the sand, though, you're begging for you can't come back from, hey, don't do this thing you want to do.
It's like, especially if I don't feel like it's a threat to the relationship, or if it's something that involves that and not trusting your person or something like that. It's like
the dynamic changes no matter what. If you do it, now they hurt. If you don't do it, now you're resentful.
Exactly. So it's like, yeah, we ain't gonna do that. So we're gonna go just because you even said it like that.
Ooh. What is the craziest rumor you've ever heard about yourself?
I was told that somebody told me that I thought that I was all of that. And so I'm like, or some people tell me they think that I'm mean. And I'm like, and I naturally have a serious face. Okay, so that's just naturally me. It's not put on and stuff like that. I feel like I'm a very funny person. I'm a very outgoing person. I can connect with people all day long. But from the distance, if you don't come up and say nothing to me, like I'm not the person that I'll smile, but at particular times, I'm just like, I'm not the person I'm just gonna be walking down the street smiling.
Sure.
That's just not me. So yeah, and then my mom always had that misunderstood about it because I feel like I got that from her. But like we'll walk into a room and we just naturally have a persona to the way we carry ourselves, and so most people be like, "Oh yeah, you think that you all that more than everybody else up in here?" I be like, I didn't even say nothing to give you that illusion. You just come up with it because I walked a certain type of way. I came in here, so it was like that's the most craziest rumor that I've heard about myself. That I was like, I'm definitely something in this world. I ain't gonna decline that, but do I think I'm just better than everybody else? I'm like, oh my God, that is too much credit now.
it's a fine line to walk though, even if you just have belief in yourself. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and plus just walking around. This ain't you don't live in the city or come from the city and just walk around with a smile on your face all day.
It's like I'm in fall. I'm just, and I can actually just be happy. I'm just like, and then sometimes you catch me smiling. It's genuine.
Sure.
I can't stand people put me on the spot and be like, smile for me. I'm like, no, it's not genuine.
All right, last question. What's the dumbest thing you believed as a kid for way too long?
My parents laugh at this to this day. I used to feel like I had a tail. And I still don't even understand why. And I remember doing that when they bring it up to me, and I was like, why in the world? And I kept that going until the longest till I couldn't anymore. But yeah, I used to feel like it was so cool to have a tail. I was like, we as humans should have it. I know we're not animals, but like, wow, like, imagine what I can do with. I can hang off of some stuff with that.
Yeah,
so
better
like,
for your balance.
Exactly. Like I feel like I had a third leg like that. Like it's like what? Yeah. So that's the craziest thing that I had on to for the longest. And I used to wear footy pajamas, and I used to put the extra leg and wrap it around my leg and like it was a tail.
Yeah,
so I remember doing that as a kid, and my parents they laughed about that. They was like, "You wanted a tail so bad." I said, "Y'all should have bought me one."
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely. Dr. Wright, it's tremendous talking to you again. I could talk to you for the next 4 days. You have a wealth of knowledge between what you do on stage, behind the stage, activism, business owner, personality, performer. Do me a favor, could you let the folks know what you got going on, where they can find you, any projects that you have coming up?
Yes, well, we got definitely with the Dr. Julian Wright show. We got a lot of stuff coming up in Festival for 2026. And then I'm thankful to be honored coming up in February the 28th to be inducted into the Black Hall of Fame here in Chicago. And so I was so excited to receive the phone call. So, I just been telling people, get your tickets to come out and support. I would love to see you there. And then we got several other big announcements that I'm working on behind the scene with some other things for the community that is going to be very great. It's going to be very beneficial to everyone, honestly. So we're working on that. So, you just stay tuned. So we got some good stuff coming up. You
heard it here first.
Yes.
Look what I give.
Yeah.
To you, the viewers, right? This is upper echelon talent and conversation that I give to you here at the Real Rap Podcast. Stay tuned in. I got more coming up, of course. I told you I'm in overdrive. This is Yeah, we're gonna have an impactful winter time. So please keep coming back because I have not only Dr. Wright, but I have also other titans of the industry coming in to give out some advice to you, the listeners, and then also entertainment. So please make sure you are checking out the Dr. Julian Wright show, the interviews, do the knowledge on the transportation and limo service, do the knowledge on the political activism. Find out more. Make sure you support this brother. Make sure you keep coming back. Like, share, subscribe. Support the Real Rap Podcast.
Please.
Your host, Mike Knight. The amazing Dr. Julian Wright. This has been the Real Rap Podcast. Love you guys. Peace.